Hi, everybody. Welcome to Election Night on DC News Now. I'm Chris Flanagan.
And I'm Susan Tran. Polls in Virginia just closed, but over in Maryland and DC, you still have about another hour to vote.
Yeah, we have teams all across the region tonight. In the district, Annalisa Gale and Mariel Carbone are at Howard University, where Vice President Kamala Harris is expected tonight.
Over in Maryland, we have Mark Hall and Ben Dennis keeping their eyes on a U.S. Senate race, while Stephen Cohen and Skylar Salas, they are tracking the 6th district results.
And in Virginia, Max Marcilla and Haley Milon are covering the highly competitive 7th district race, while Randy Bass is looking at Virginia's 10th district race.
We also have Daniel Hamburg and Tyler Englander keeping a track on Virginia's U.S. Senate race. Plus, Tim Reed is at an election watch party in Prince George's County.
All right, taking a live look right now at the Harris and Trump campaigns as watch parties there ramp up.
DC News Now's Mariel Carbone is live outside of Howard University. And Mariel, you're at a bar just outside there in the Shaw neighborhood, and crowds are starting to gather.
Yes, Susan, the watch party here just started at 7 o'clock, but doors opened at 6 for anybody who had a ticket to the event to come in. And I can tell you, before 6:30, people were lining up outside. You can feel and hear the energy behind me. I'm going to move so you can kind of see all the people here just gathering together to start watching these results come in. So, as you mentioned, we're pretty close to Howard University campus, just a few blocks away. I had asked the general manager here just what the excitement feels like being so close to where she's having that watch party. Take a listen to what he had to say.
It's great. I mean, the phone's been ringing off the hook all day. Unfortunately, we are sold out for the event, but you know, just having people being out and about in the neighborhood, it's of course great for businesses and great for us. And for her to be right there, I mean, it's magical. Who knows if we'll find anything out tonight, but if we do, this neighborhood, I think, will be very excited.
All right, so you know 7 o'clock, just starting to see some numbers come in. We've already got some people cheering as they see some of those numbers up on the screen. So it's going to be a long night here. We're expecting more people to fill in this area as well as outside near, in, and around campus. So we'll be checking in and showing just all the excitement here throughout the night. For now, live from Shaw, I'm Mariel Carbone, DC News Now.
All right, that excitement will continue for some time now, and Mariel will give us all of the details tonight.
That's right. DC News Now's Mark Hall and Ben Dennis are covering the race in Maryland, U.S. Senate race for us. We've been with Mark tonight following Angela Alsobrooks. He is live in College Park tonight. And Mark, all eyes nationally on this race. Really big implications because it could swing the balance of power in the U.S. Senate.
Oh, Chris, that's certainly been the narrative for the last 2 or 3 months. Even when Angela Alsobrooks gained the lead in the polls of over 10 points, because we know polls are one thing, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to people showing up to vote. And back in 2016, I think the polls surprised a lot of people. So the Alsobrooks camp, they're not taking anything for granted. They worked the streets up until last night, door knocking and just trying to get folks engaged and get them to the polls today. And so the polls close in an hour. And Chris, that's officially when this watch party will begin here at the hotel. We're literally a stone's throw away from the University of Maryland campus, where Angela Alsobrooks earned her law degree, pardon me. But I'll tell you what, folks are optimistic around here, and they're looking forward to a good night, at least here. And this is really all about replacing longtime Senator Ben Cardin, who's been in office since 2007. But I have to tell you, in talking with older voters, especially here on the Maryland side, this race has been, in many ways, a reprieve. Going back in time when there was civility and mutual respect. Now, of course, you still have all of those races, all of those campaign ads that are very offensive to some people. But Alsobrooks and Hogan, they like each other. They both said that. Our Stephen Cohen, my colleague, has been following both candidates across the state of Maryland for the past 6 weeks, and you would hear both candidates talk about the issues that separate them or that distinct them. But as far as the mutual respect, Angela Alsobrooks called Larry Hogan a friend and talked about how well they worked together when he was governor of the state of Maryland. And Larry Hogan has also talked about how fond he is of his opponent, Angela Alsobrooks. Again, we are here in College Park. The poll's expected to close in about 55 minutes. This watch party will officially start at 8 o'clock, and things are certainly expected to pick up then. We're going to send it back to you in the studio, Chris.
All right, Mark, I'll take it from here as well. Heading over now to Ben Dennis, who is following Larry Hogan's campaign there in Annapolis.
Yeah, and Ben, despite trailing, Hogan said earlier today while voting, he feels pretty confident.
Yeah, we're going to get a good temperature read on how the Hogan camp is feeling at headquarters right now in about an hour. As Mark had mentioned, those polls are closing. Now, notably, the polls, as Mark had also said, yeah, that gap over 10 points in many of them between the former two-term governor and the Prince George's County executive. So how do we all get here? Larry Hogan running on that independent message that he would be a voice for everybody. He would work across the aisle in the U.S. Senate. A little fact here, the last time a Republican won Maryland's U.S. Senate seat was in 1980. So this would be quite a change if the former governor is looking for a win here. His hurdle, that's also convincing his own party that he's the best nominee. Notably, he has been quite the critic of former President Donald Trump. Also a difficulty this year for the GOP in Maryland, running during a presidential year. The state is considered safe for Democrats, for the White House, but Dems don't also want to cede their own Democratic seat, of course, being vacated by current Senator Ben Cardin. On the offense, he's attacked Angela Alsobrooks on crime during her time as state's attorney in Prince George's County and as the county executive. He's also making note of the taxes that she owed on those properties in several different locations, saying that also she'd vote with her party 100% of the time. Again, drumming the beat that he would be an independent supporter of Maryland voters. He also has been on defense, saying that he supports Roe v. Wade and a women's right to choose. He's also had some of his own personal battles on this issue over the years, but that's what it's come down to. One of the most hot issues in this race, many races across the country rather, is that abortion issues. Now, what we are watching, again, less than an hour until the polls close in Maryland, where Baltimore and Metro D.C., where there is a large swath of voters, Montgomery County, Prince George's County, and Howard County. Again, we're going to get a good feel for how the campaign is feeling in roughly an hour, and then the hours after that here in Annapolis as those results trickle in. Still nobody showing up right now in the ballroom, but that's going to change in roughly half an hour. Send it back to you from Annapolis.
All right, Ben Dennis reporting a lot of money poured into that race as well, about $81 million for that Senate seat. All right, for the next several hours, we will head all over the DMV, bringing the latest results. We'll also be closely watching the biggest race of them all. That is the one, of course, for president.
And let's turn our attention closer to that presidential race. We have DC News Now's Tosin Fikile with our version of this big board. And Tosin, the first candidate to hit 270 wins, which is why those battleground states are so vital here.
Yeah, Chris and Susan, that's right. The road to that magical 270 number electoral votes, it looks different for Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. It'll all come down to those 7 swing states. We're talking Georgia, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada, and Michigan. I do want to mention that Georgia's polls have closed, and the polls have been showing it's been razor thin almost all election cycle between these two candidates. So there's really no clear leader, but we're going to try and show you what it looks like. So first of all, what is the clear path for Kamala Harris to get to that 270 number? I will show it to you. She has to go to that Rust Belt state. So we're talking Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. So if we give those 3 to her, there you see there, she hits 270, Kamala Harris becomes president. That is her clearest and easiest way to get to the Oval Office. How would things look for Donald Trump? Let me show you what it'll look for him. First of all, he would have to take Pennsylvania. That is the first thing he would have to do. So if Trump, if he takes Pennsylvania, then he would have to go right there, take Georgia and North Carolina. And you see right there, Trump gets that 270. So that's what he's going to look like. Trump would have to keep Pennsylvania right there to get to that 270. Okay, that is the straightest, most narrow way for both candidates to get there. But it's not the only way. We're looking at several paths for both of them. Okay, let's take those votes away from Trump right now and see how else this breaks down, just focusing on those 7 states. So if Trump, listen now, if Trump does keep Pennsylvania, that makes things a little tough for Harris. If he takes Pennsylvania right there and Harris keeps these two right here, we're talking Michigan and Wisconsin. If you look at that, sorry, let's fix that right there. That's not for Trump. Let's fix that right there. 1 second. All right, there we go. So if Harris wins Michigan and Wisconsin, but Trump keeps Pennsylvania, you see she's still short of that 270 that she needs. She's going to have to go to the Sun Belt area to get those remaining votes. So here's what she's going to have to do. She's going to have to flip. First of all, she's going to have to flip North Carolina, which is a very tough thing to do because that is a state that is usually a very solid red state. So if she takes North Carolina right there and goes to the Sun Belt, if she takes, let's say she takes Nevada, and you see right there, Harris has that 278 she needs to take the presidency. So those are the two different paths for Harris. Now, let's look at Trump's other not so direct path of getting to the White House, returning him back to the White House. Let's take Wisconsin and Michigan. Let's clear all the swing states. So this is what it's going to look like. If Trump, this is his other path to getting there. If Harris keeps Pennsylvania, so let's give Pennsylvania back to Harris. Right there. If Harris gets to keep Pennsylvania, Trump is at 219. Now, if he does win North Carolina, Georgia, let's take away Arizona from her. And let's give Trump Nevada and Arizona. You see right there, he is still short. He needs to find about 19 votes to get him to 270. So where does Trump have to go? He has to go right here to the blue wall, that Rust Belt. That's where he's going to need to find that vote. So if he keeps Arizona, Nevada, and he gets Georgia and North Carolina, with Harris holding Pennsylvania, his only other way to get to that 270, Michigan or Wisconsin. Let's see that. If we give him Michigan, he's still short. And then we hand him Wisconsin. There you go. Trump, that is his quickest way to get to 270. And of course, Susan and Chris, all of this is also dependent on how Nebraska and Maine go. Back to you.
All right.